Clone X. It's a great project. So the story on Clone X, my personal story is I did not get whitelist, and I really wanted these. Also, one of the first 3D avatar projects in the space. And I really, really wanted one, and I didn't get whitelist, and they literally mooned from the beginning. Obviously, it was expensive. It was a 3 ETH Dutch auction starting at 3 Ethereum, and then it never got lower than 2 Ethereum. Now, typically, I actually like when buying is a bit higher. You really don't have the sort of paper handing that you have on the smaller things, because if you pay 2 ETH, the chances of it coming out and hitting 10 ETH are very, very low. Whereas if you pay 0.1 ETH, the chances of, like Metaverse yesterday, hitting 0.7 are very high. So you typically, if you 2x on a 2 ETH investment, that's the equivalent of a 5x in theory. You're happy to 2x on a project like this if you're doing it to flip. So I never got in, and I watched it and watched it and watched it. And for me, I waited until after reveal, which I never do, because I'm OCD, and if I want something, I find it hard to wait, but I know that they dip after reveal, and I waited until after reveal, and I watched it as it was revealing, and people were starting to get rid of some of the ones they don't like, and about 6-7 hours later, I picked one up at about 2.3 Ethereum. So at that stage, there was nothing about Nike. There was a whole lot of FUD, because they had not said initially that about 15% of the collection would not have IP rights. And they said that only after the fact. And as you can imagine, if you had one of those 15%, you would think that you had rights on it, then you didn't. So guys got upset, like often happens, high emotions. Guys started selling. I was lucky enough to get in, saw that as my opportunity, and I bought in at about 2.2. That night, they launched the Nike news, right? And they said that Nike has acquired them, and all of a sudden it made perfect sense that the reason they had to do this IP thing was that Nike is intending on using these 15% for commercials and whatever. And in retrospect, looking at when I looked into it on their Discord before the Nike announcement, it was very lawyered up, hey. And in retrospect, that should have been a sign to say that something big is happening here, because NFT projects do not have that level of lawyering up. Let me tell you, it was a concise 30-page frickin' contract, right? Really, you could see like a really. So that actually should have been signs. And so in future, little alpha, if you ever see a 30-page proper, well-written definitions contract on a new project, you can know that there's a big acquisition taking place, and it's probably a good time to buy, right? So if you go here to their site, they're now part of the Nike family, which is so cool. Honestly, Nike is one of the biggest brands in the world, really and truly, especially in this space. A sports brand. They're going to be massive in the metaverse. Guys are going to want to wear their Nike tackies and show them off just like they show them off in real life. And here for Nike, it makes perfect sense, because instead of them having to pay a factory in China to manufacture 1 million pairs of shoes and then have them shipped all over the world and pay customs and warehousing and insurance and all the things that go along with physical items, here they need a designer designing their items, and that's it. All of that falls away, and they could probably sell the items for as much, if not more, than the physical items. So I believe it's a no-brainer for these fashion brands. They obviously agree, because they've come in a big way. And yeah, I mean, the link to their website, which I got just here on OpenSea, if you go here, is really worth the read. I would really recommend it. You've got the message from the founders here, which I'm not going to bore you with, but it's really a nice story, and it's a nice brand. So it's quite interesting in their Discord. It really, nothing happens in here. So obviously there's people talking like normal general, but announcements never happen in here. So the last announcement was the 31st of December, and no one complains because everyone knows that they're safe because they know that Nike's behind it. And I mentioned the other day, Morland, the same thing in Board Ape Yacht Club. You're lucky if you get an announcement a month, and no one cares because they know that you're working on the project. Whereas in these smaller projects, people start to get scared if they don't hear from you. So what happened about 3 weeks after Mint was we got this message over here. That this is all we got. So there was no mention of this in the roadmap. There was no mention of this before. It says here, hi everyone, Clone X Space Pod airdrop has been initiated. Please be patient. It takes a while to drop 20,000 NFTs. What is a space pod? A space pod is an on-cyber NFT gallery made for clone owners, usable by anyone. Total of 20,000 pods, whatever. And then they just say upcoming features of the pod, multiplayer, so you'll be able to go to visit your friends' pods. Still in January, media embed, so you can put media videos and stuff on the TV that you have there, which I think is so cool. We could probably play you the NFT show in our Clone X room on our flat screen in there. We'll have to see what they do. Q1 2022, also avatars as part of the Clone X 3D file utilities will be available so that you could walk around as your Clone X in your room. And then also Q1 pod customization, extension, and upgrades. So really no mention of it. Next second, I checked my wallet and I had my pod. The floor price on pods are currently about 0.7. So this is my pod, which I think is so cool. I then went into it. I've added all my NFTs on the wall, and I can walk around in here. So if I use my keyboard, there's my Doge, which I still own. I love him. He's in my hardware wallet because I'm never selling him. Oh, my dead fella, which I sold too early. I must update this. But the guy on my table there, he's my Cyberkong VX. He's metaverse ready. You can see that's why I could have him here. He was one of my only NFTs that I could draw. This is just supposed to be a book on the table with a picture of your NFT. And when I put my Clone X, this is what happened, because you can see he's 3D ready, which is so cool.
Your Kong.
My Kong, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So this is, and he was the only one, which is really cool, which is why I bought into Cyberkongs, because as far as metaverse projects go, they are probably the most advanced out of all of them, and especially the VX. And whatever, you can see I still have my chibi. That is the line that I kept. My galaxy eggs, which I think are hugely undervalued. The art is incredible. You can see I've got my kitchen over here. And if you walk through, there's my little place where I read my books. And this is where I'm broadcasting the show right now. But it's really cool. I mean, it's my little space. I really enjoy decorating it and doing it. And I can show off my NFTs in a unique way. And I'm looking, there's my bathroom. I'm looking really forward to the future utility that it brings. But it's just honestly nice. And again, I mean, the floor, I bought in at 2 point whatever, 3 or whatever it was. The floor price has gone all the way up to 7. I have not sold. When you're involved in a project like this, I will have this forever because I think I'm betting on the future of Nike and the metaverse here. Mm-hmm. And I think it's as safe a bet as you possibly get in the NFT space, in my opinion. So I'm really glad I made the decision to get into Clone X, and I'm loving the project, and I'm very bullish on the future of it.
Oh, definitely a solid bet if you've got a major brand like Nike backing. Like you said, in their Discord, nobody's worried that you're not getting announcements because Nike's got your back. So definitely a really great project.